Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah, who's ready for some unsolicited stand-up? Thank you. Thank you. A little louder? Okay, I'll test the microphone. Test, 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 test. Is it good? All right. I find the idea of like these open mic nights so funny for businesses. It's like you're giving unsolicited microphone access to anybody in the community who wants it for as however long they feel like. For me, 10 minutes, which is very nice and very kind of them to do. But it just seems like a bad idea. This is an all ages show, which I was reluctant to pick this up because I rely on my comedy most of the time when I'm at Rialto or something like that on swear words so much because it's such a fun thing to do. It's very fun to say profanities. And when I don't have those, it's an easy comedy vibe. Because for some reason, people see a well put together young man on stage and they see him saying bad words and they're like, I mess with this guy's vibe. I like that a lot. I don't quite know why. I am young though. I think that's part of the reason. I'm actually so young that for me, the glory days are elementary school, and that was 7 years ago. Yeah, back when I had the playground, before in middle school, they upgrade you to the concrete slab, which is what they give middle schoolers because middle school is awful. And after that, they upgrade you to cars in high school, which doesn't seem like a fair, transformation. People are worried about teenagers having cars from what I know, or at least my mother's worried about me having a car. And it's probably because her first impression of me on the road was failing my permit test 8 times in a row, which from my understanding is not a good amount of times to fail that kind of thing. But if you're worried about it, don't worry, my mother's even more worried, so it can't be that bad. Back to elementary school, it is an absolute miracle that I somehow went undiagnosed with ADHD until the middle of middle school, because I was not hiding it well, and some might even say, not hiding it at all. Like there was this one time, I was playing tag on the playground with these kids, and I was because that's what happens in tag when you have poor cardio. And I was chasing one of these kids down, he was faster than me, and I thought, okay, I can't catch him by running, so I've got to outsmart him. I'll tell a joke, because even then I was desperate for attention. And so I'm chasing this kid down, and I'm thinking, what is the funniest thing I can say at him while also running? And I can't have any kind of comedic timing, so it just has to be a generally funny statement to scream. So I think of it, and it comes to me, and I wait for him, my trap is laid, and I wait for him to look back at me and make eye contact. And the minute I'm staring this kid dead in the eyes, I yell, I'm gonna bury you alive! He didn't find that very funny. For some reason, I believe the feeling he felt was disturbed. But he did end up telling a teacher, but I think that's just because he was upset. I tagged him afterwards, because he did stop. So I guess my plan worked in that way. Anyway, he tells the teacher, and they don't send me to the office or anything, but they do tell my mom. So when I get home, my mom sits me down to play everyone's favorite game to play with their kids, Did I Raise a Homicidal Maniac? So she takes me and she sits me down, and she asks me, Hunter, now why would you say that to that kid? And I, with my big, tiny baby eyes, look at her and I say, because I thought it was funny, which is not a reassuring answer when the thing you yelled was that you were going to bury another child alive. And somehow I didn't get kicked out of school for that. And they let me keep going back. And I actually formed a friendship with this kid named Derek. And what was weird about it was that we kind of had this consensual relationship where he would let me beat him up. And I know that sounds bad, but it's gonna get worse. So what would happen is that I watched professional wrestling as a kid because I was a boy, and I saw it, and it just looked cool. And there was this wrestler named Yokozuna in the 90s, and he was this giant Japanese sumo wrestler who was actually Samoan, but we don't have to get into that. We don't have time. So this guy, Yokozuna, had a finishing move called the bonsai drop, where he would get on the second rope, let me grab something. This is prop comedy now. He would get on the second rope, he would yell, "Bonsai!" and then he would drop his full weight sitting down onto his opponent's chest. And this kid, Derek, what he would do is he would lay on the ground, and I would get above him, like this. And I would yell, "Bonsai!" which we don't have to get into why that might be problematic for a small white child to yell. And I would drop full weight down onto his chest. And it didn't strike me that this was wrong to do, because as I said, ADHD is a learning disorder, and I guess it was affecting my ability to learn empathy for other people. So my mom, like she always does for these moments, she was driving me to school, and I just start crying, because guilt hit me. I developed empathy, finally, thank the Lord. And I'm crying, and she asked me, "Hunter, what is wrong?" And I say, "I bonsai'd him! I bonsai'd him!" And she doesn't understand what that means, because it's a confusing thing for a child to yell while also crying. And she asked me, "Hunter, what do you mean?" And so I explained to her about Yokozuna and about him being Samoan, about all of this stuff. And she gives me the solution that I somehow didn't think of, which was, "Hunter, just stop doing that." I didn't realize I could. I thought I had entered a contractual obligation with this kid to beat him up. And I think it was after this that my mom said, "We're gonna send you to a doctor." This was the decision that finally crossed that line. And so I haven't bonsai dropped anybody since, thank the Lord. And I haven't ever run into Derek again, but I hope he got the help he needs, or found a nice person who was willing to bonsai drop him. That's not me. All right, thank you very much.